Hello and thank you for joining us as we continue our journey with the saints. Obviously, of course, the canonized saints we've been talking about in this short series of reflections are not the only saints. In the colloquial sense of the word, there must be countless saints, known only to their families, their neighbours, and of course God himself. We honour these saints, of course, each year on November the 1st, the feast of All Saints, when they who are in heaven are remembered. Some years ago, I remember giving a talk to a group of First Holy Communion children, and I asked them if they could name a saint. Well, bearing in mind the school, of course, was St. Mary's, they all said St. Mary. So we sort of looked a bit further afield and they came up with St. Joseph or St. Hilda or St. Patrick. These, of course, were the local churches they'd remembered. But one little boy, he quite surprised us. He said, "My granddad, he's a saint." Well, of course, his grandpa probably was a saint, because those children of his were the people they were because of him. And I always consider today's saint, St. Margaret of Scotland, in those terms. Her great love and devotion known to her family, those around her, and of course God. She was born in 1046, probably in Hungary, where the family were all in exile. She was a descendant of King Alfred of burnt cakes fame and the granddaughter of King Edmund. She was reportedly both beautiful and intelligent, with a very strong Christian faith. She, along with her family, were returned to England towards the end of the reign of her great-uncle, Edward the Confessor. Her younger brother apparently had a very strong claim to the throne of England. With the arrival of William the Conqueror, the family of Margaret found their position fairly precarious, and they decided to head back to the continent of Europe. It was while they were heading back that their ship was blown off course and they landed at Fife in Scotland. The Scottish king, Malcolm III, offered his protection to the family. And Malcolm was particularly protective towards Margaret. He eventually proposed marriage. Initially, she rejected his proposal, but he was persistent, and they eventually married in 1069. Their marriage was an exceptionally happy one. Her influence on her husband, her devout faith, led to many changes to the church in Scotland. She was to found in her time many churches, monasteries and hostels for pilgrims. And because of her great devotion to the Scottish saints, she was instrumental in the Queen's ferry over the River Forth, so that pilgrims could more easily reach the shrine of St. Andrew. Margaret and Malcolm were to go on to have 8 children, and instilled in each and every one of them the need for the care for the poor and the orphaned. She was to die sadly 4 days after her husband Malcolm was killed in Alnwick, and they were to be buried at Dunfermline Abbey, which they together had founded in 1072. St. Margaret's son David was one of the best of the Scottish kings, and indeed was revered as a saint by his people of the day. Through the marriage of her daughter Matilda with Henry I of England, Margaret is an ancestor, incidentally, to the present royal family. She was canonised in the year 1250. Her feast day today we celebrate on the 16th of November, of course. So St. Margaret of Scotland, pray for us.